On everyone, let's talk about the New Orleans Pelicans because they are a very interesting and fascinating team, and I don't really know how I feel about them or where to really place them in the Western Conference, right? Now, obviously, they went and traded for McCollum last season, which turned out to be a great move for them. He really helped this team in so many ways, and you really kind of saw a different CJ. He really took over more of a prominent scoring role. You got to see some of the facilitating, and you saw that he really did take a backseat for Damian Lillard, where here he was able to kind of step in as a key contributing guy, as a guy that could kind of be a number one scoring option if need be. And I just thought it was really nice to see. Now, obviously, they didn't have Zion, and that was a huge factor that would have very likely made this team a lot better. But you have Brandon Ingram, right? And you do have Jonas Valanciunas. Like, he is a, guy that can give you 20-10 night in and night out if need be. He's a guy that can knock it down from anywhere, very versatile. You got Herb Jones, who just seems like a real stud for them, a real standout. You got a lot of these really good quality pieces. Even Devontae Graham, they just extended Larry Nance Jr. So you have pieces around your core three of Zion, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum. I didn't even mention Jackson Hayes. That's another one. Dyson Daniels is a new addition that'll be kind of interesting to see what he can develop to and the kind of impact that he can maybe have on this team. And Jose Alvarado took a big step into the spotlight last season. The little assassin, I guess, the hiding in the corners, waiting to pick off steals and stuff. And it kind of just became this meme. It kind of became this phenomenon in so many ways. So I definitely think the Pelicans are going to be an exciting, fun team to watch. But I don't think they are in the upper echelons of the Western Conference. Now, who knows what Zion will be? Zion looks in great shape. He talks about, he's faster, stronger, more athletic. He's able to jump higher. All the things. He's saying all the right things. But that's just... every player says that, right? Every player says, they put on 15 pounds of muscle and lost weight and, they all of a sudden can jump to Mars if they need to and they, are shot 300% from three during training. It's just you always hear these over-the-top, insane, just what they've done this offseason type thing. So the question is, can Zion stay healthy? Because if Zion can stay healthy, then I do think this team really could be scary, right? We've been able to see Zion just be this absolute dominant force on the basketball court. His size, his athleticism, his quickness at his size are all just huge mismatches. And it's one of those things if you're trying to guard him, good luck. And having him, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, that big three, and then whatever pieces they put around him, whether it's, Jose or it's, Valanciunas or Herb Jones or Jackson Hayes or whoever, whichever of the pieces they decide to put around those three, that it comes down to those three. And I do think they really do have a very formidable, better big three. The real X factor is Zion. Can he stay healthy for a good chunk of the season? Because I do think CJ and Brandon Ingram, if they're healthy, they're enough to keep them competitive. They're at least enough to keep them in the play-in, maybe even maybe the 6th seed, something like that, because they do have enough good young talent. They're going to be very good, very competitive, tough out. Brandon Ingram seems to get better every year. They're also going to have a full training camp, full offseason together. So CJ is going to get a full season with these guys, so he's very likely going to improve and be able to adapt more, and they're going to be better, but they need Zion. If they're going to be a real, competitor, I don't think they're a contender, but a real competitor in the Western Conference, a team that could really surprise somebody, a team that, look at it Atlanta. Right? Atlanta 2 seasons ago was able to get to the Eastern Conference Finals because they made few acquisitions, a couple things fell their way, stuff like that, and boom, next thing you know, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, they ended up losing and last season was a total disaster for them, but they were still able to do that with some nice acquisitions. This could be that Atlanta team. That team that they're really good, they're rather consistent. Everyone's healthy. They have a couple breaks go their way, and all of a sudden they are in the Western Conference Finals. They're 4 games away from maybe being in the NBA Finals. And can these three, maybe just put together just a 4-game stretch where they're just fantastic and get to the finals, something like that. It's not completely out of the realm. I mean, look, Dallas many people didn't think Dallas was going to be anywhere, and they made it to the Western Conference Finals and just completely blew out the Suns. And like when you look at the other teams compared to the Pelicans, I do like how they match up. But again, I always resort back to Zion because he just can't stay healthy. I mean, he could end up being the next Greg Oden for all we know. An incredible talent, a guy that, we think is going to be the next star, the next face, the next best big man, and injury bug just won't get away. And he's just got so much mass on his legs and his ankles and his knees and stuff like that. It's just, it's a real fear. But to kind of scan this team with the rest of the West, I really think the Suns implode. I've been saying this from day one. It has nothing to do with them losing to the 36ers, although I think that that's a sign that I was right, that they're kind of heading in that direction of imploding. But I really do think the Suns take a big step back. I don't think they're going to be a play-in team or miss the playoffs. I still think they have too much talent, but it wouldn't shock me. And I really do think that this team goes from being the 1 seed last season to maybe the 5th or 6th seed. But outside of that, I think the Pelicans match up really well with the Grizzlies. I really do. I think they have the size, they have the length, they have the guys. And the Grizzlies finished number 2 last season. So it's I like them over the Grizzlies. I like them in comparison to the Nuggets. I think that could go either way. I think the Nuggets have more depth, more overall talent, and are the better team. But I think that's a matchup that the Pelicans could stay in. I really do. Timberwolves, I personally think the Pelicans are better than the Timberwolves. Maybe that's just me, but I do. I like the Pelicans roster if everyone's healthy better than the Timberwolves. I think the Timberwolves have too many questions. I think as great as Rudy is, he doesn't really help their biggest problem. I mean, he'll make them better rebounding wise, which was a huge flaw, and defensively, but their biggest problem was the perimeter defense, and he's not going to help that. And so many teams already know how to just completely make Rudy Gobert completely irrelevant. That's why the Jazz were never able to really make him work. He's also a liability on the offensive end and just a liability late in games because you can just hack him. So I like the Pelicans over them. Utah completely is going to fall out of the standings. Clippers obviously are going to be much better, but I think outside of the Clippers and the Warriors, I think the Pelicans match up really well against all these teams. Now, the lack of experience is a big thing. That's why I thought the Grizzlies would lose, and that's why I thought the Celtics would lose to the Warriors, and they both did. I have, receipts on this channel where I said, I think the Warriors' experience and the Grizzlies and the Celtics' lack of experience is going to be the real difference, especially with these young teams. Problem with a lot of these young teams is that, when things start going bad, it starts going really bad because they don't have the experience and they don't have the knowledge and the know-how of okay, I've been here 1,000 times. Where the Warriors, whether they're up 20 or they're down 20, they always play the same way. They are the ultimate model of consistency. And that's the thing. You see it in the Celtics series. You saw it in the Grizzlies series, one turnover leads into 3 turnovers, leads into, bad shots, leads into oh no, we were up 20 and now we're only up 3. Oh no, we were up 20 and now we're down 3. And then it just gets away from them. And that would be my big concern with the Pelicans against some of these more veteran teams, like the Nuggets, even the Mavericks, things like that. But I think outside of the Clippers and the Warriors, assuming health, right? I really think these Pelicans match up well. Dallas, I still am not 100% sold on Dallas. I did a video diving into Dallas. I think Dallas could either, lose in the first round or make it to the finals. They're kind of this, it's just how good will Christian Wood work? They're kind of that dark horse team for me anyways. And I kind of feel like the Pelicans are that way too. I really don't think that they are a contender, but again, you have a couple dominoes fall your way. You're good. All things are clicking. You're competitive. All of a sudden you're looking, you're like, hey, we're right here. And you get to a game 7 and the Suns completely implode and you beat them, by 80. That. I mean, that happens, right? We kind of saw that with Dallas last season. So it's just something to keep in mind. It's just something that, again, I think the Pelicans are going to be a really good, young, fun team. I'm really excited to kind of see this team play. I think worst case is going to be a very tough out. I just want to see them be healthy. I want to see what can they do healthy. Can they really be that dominant team, that dominant force? Can they really, make the plays, keep cool heads, so to speak, in those times, like especially come playoffs? Now, can Zion stay healthy? Can Brandon Ingram kind of take that next step? CJ, is he going to be able to continue to be that guy? I really liked CJ. I really thought CJ really showed a different level to his game last season. And you saw it. I mean, you saw the hype. Even Lillard talked about it and was like, he's been doing that. You guys just, been sleeping on him. He just sacrificed for this team, stuff like that. And I do think that. And he's going to have to be more of a playmaker and scorer for this team. He's going to have a role that he's never really had to have. But he seems to have embraced it. He seems like he's willing to do it. He seems like he's capable of doing it. And so I think you got these three. And I think these three are, the keys to the kingdom, so to speak. And it's just, can they stay healthy? Can they gel? Can they work? Zion is, again, he's going to take away from CJ. He's going to take away from Ingram. So will that have an impact? Who sacrifices the most? CJ's used to taking 20 shots a game, stuff like that. He's probably not going to be able to do that with Zion and Brandon Ingram, and all the other guys got to eat too. So Ingram, is he going to take a step back? Like, out of these three, who is the third option? That's probably my biggest concern. Because usually, like, you look at big threes and like, look at the Nets. You have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons. Like, it's pretty obvious what the pecking order is there, right? Even like the Lakers, whether they're good or bad. Nonetheless, you got LeBron James, you got Anthony Davis, you got Russell Westbrook. You got to define three players and their roles. Even going back, to like the Heatles. You had LeBron, Wade, Bosh. Bosh clearly took the back seat. He was clearly the third option. Cavs team, LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin Love. Kevin Love very, very took a back seat. Went from being a 2010 guy to just basically a spot-up three-point shooter. Big change, right? And so but you look at this and you can make an argument for all three of these guys to be the number one option. CJ and his scoring ability, Brandon Ingram and his scoring ability, Zion, if he's just that dominant, if he can continue to be that dominant force, wouldn't you want to get the ball to him down low as much as possible and capitalize on those mismatches? That's my biggest problem. Like, will these three be able to figure out and play as each one is, basically define who's where? Are you the first? Is it just whose game is on tonight, which you could do? But the problem is with the you go I go type offense and type of just teams, they usually don't go very far and they usually don't work out. That's the problem. It's just that's probably the biggest factor for me, because you really look at these three, and all three of these guys you can look at and say that's your number one guy. And I don't think that you can really argue against that very much. I just think, it's just maybe you're more overall scoring, like who's the best overall scorer. So is that Brandon Ingram or is that CJ McCollum? Because they're both really good at scoring. It's just, I don't know. It's a weird spot. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think? Do you think the Pelicans have a shot? Do you think they're a middle of the pack team? Do you think they're a play-in team still? Do you think these three can work? Do you think Zion can stay healthy? Who to you is the number one option on this team? And do you agree that, you can make an argument for all three? However you feel, whatever your thoughts and opinions are, good, bad, ugly, somewhere in between, I'd love to hear them down in the comments. Quick little shameless plug, go subscribe to my second channel, link down in the description below. As it stands, Lakers. I am a diehard Laker fan. I love talking Lakers. I could talk Lakers all day, just like I could talk about all sports all day. And I'm sure many of you watching to this point enjoy my commentary, enjoy these discussions. So go check out the Lakers channel. Even if you're not a Laker fan and you just like hearing me talk about stuff in basketball, go over there and subscribe. I'll link down in the description below. I promise you won't be disappointed. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.